Today, class, we're going to look at the percent proportion. So what I hope to accomplish in this lesson is we will define what the percent proportion is, and we will complete 3 types of percent questions. Because there are 3 distinct types of percent problems that we will deal with in math. So here's the first one. What do you do when you have this problem? Well, if you think back to what you did last year, there were a couple of ways that we could work this one. One way that we could do this one is just a direct translation method. We could say, what is 65%? Now, I can't type 65% in on the calculator, but I can use another form of 65%, the decimal version. So what is 0.65? Because we know to change the percent to a decimal, I just move the decimal over 2 places to the left and take off the percent sign. Of in math means to multiply 245. So we just multiply 0.65 times 245, and we will come up with 65% of 245. That's one way of doing this particular problem. What I want to focus on today, though, is the percent proportion. And the percent proportion is percent over 100 is equal to part over whole. Now, sometimes part and whole, there are a couple of words that can help us identify which one is the part and which one is the whole. And those words are, for part, it is, and for whole, it is the word of. Is refers to part of something, and of refers to a total amount or the whole thing. So let's go back and look at this same question and see if we can solve this one using the percent proportion. The first question you ask in a problem like this is, do I have a number with a percent sign on it? And of course, we do, the 65%. Well, it has a place in the percent proportion, which is again, percent over 100 is equal to part over whole, or is over of. So we do have a number that has a percent sign on it, so we put this as 65 over 100 equals. And now the toughest thing about a problem like this is determining which number goes on top and which number goes on bottom. And there's 2 ways that you can do this. One, you can pay attention to the is and the of in a proportion. If you can write a percent problem in this question format, then it says what is and of 245. So this of 245 means that it's going to go on the bottom. Okay, and the what is the thing that I'm missing. The part is missing. Now that's one way we can do this. The other way that we can figure out which number goes on top and on bottom is what I like to do is take this percent and substitute the word part in for it and then reread the question. And it says, what is part of 245? So if I'm asking the question, what is part of 245? 245 must be on the bottom. It must be the whole thing. So now once we have this set up, we cross multiply and divide. Okay? So we would multiply 100 times x to get 100x. We would multiply 245 times 65. Well, that's kind of a big number, so I'm going to go to my calculator and multiply that out. 245 times 65 gives you 15,925. Now we divide both sides by 100. And we end up with x equaling. Now we know the trick. If I divide by 100, it just moves the decimal 2 places. So we end up with 159.25 for our answer. And I don't put a percent sign on this because I already have a percentage. Well, let's see if you can do one on your own like this. Okay, so let's do B right here. Well, if you look at this one, again, we have the percent proportion. So we ask ourselves the question, do I have a number with a percent sign on it? And yes, we do. We have the 43. So we would write this as 43 over 100 equals, and then this is of 230, and of again means total, so it goes on the bottom. Now you could also take this word right here and substitute the word part in, and it says part of 230 is what? So part of this number is this. So this part is referring to this missing piece here. So that is our 230 being our total. So now again, we cross multiply. 100x is equal to 43 times 230. So again, we go to our calculator. We do 43 times 230. We end up with 9,890. We divide both sides by 100. We end up with x equaling 98.9. And again, we don't need a percent sign on the answer because I already have a percent. So that is the first form of a percent problem. This is known as percent of a number. Let's look at the second form now. Okay, and it's this first question right here. It says, what percent of 60 is 52? Well, if you'll notice in this question, the thing that's missing is the number with the percent sign. So if my percent is missing, then in my percent proportion that I have here, which is this right here, my x goes in the place where my percent is. So this is x over 100 equals. And now we look at our of and our is. Okay, of 60 is 52. So that tells us the 52 is our part and the 60 is our total. Or we can substitute the word part in for what percent. And it says part of 60 is 52. Again, that is referring to the part. So now we cross multiply. You end up with 60x is equal to 5,200. We divide both sides by 60. And we end up with x equaling, again, we go to our calculator, 5,200 divided by 60. Oops, try that again, 5,200 divided by 60. And we end up with 86.6 with a bar. Now we notice that it gives us instructions to round to the nearest tenth of a percent. So this will be 86.7%. Is the 6 that keeps going, the 6 will round the tenth place to a 7, 86.7%. So let's try another one of those. Let's try B here. Okay, so we've got 14 is what percent of 15? So again, I don't have my percent, so it's automatically going to be x over 100 is equal to what it says 14 is of 15. Or 14 is, and then take this and substitute the word part. 14 is part of 15. So that definitely tells you that the 14 goes on top, the 15 goes on bottom. We cross multiply to get 15x is equal to 1400. Divide by 15, divide by 15. X is equal to, again, we go to our calculator, 1400 divided by 15 gives you 93.3. Now again, we're rounding to the nearest tenth, so that's going to end up being 93.3 or 93 1/3 percent. And we do need to attach the percent on there because of we're looking for a percentage. So that is the second form of the percent problem, where the percent is missing. Now let's look at the third one. Okay, this is where our total is missing. So again, we ask ourselves the question, do I have a number with a percent sign on it? And yes, I do. So it's immediately 46 over 100 is equal to, okay, now I've got to figure out what the 207 is. And it says 207 is, so we know it's going to be a part, or if I substitute the word part in for 46%, 207 is part of what? So it tells us that it is the part. So we put the 207 on top, put the x on bottom, we cross multiply, we end up with 46x is equal to, and then 207 times 100 is 20,700. Divide by 46, divide by 46, x is equal to, we go to our calculator here, we do 20,700 divided by 46, and we get 450. And again, I do not put a percent sign on it because I already have a percent in the problem. So those are our three types of percent questions. We have percent of a number, where the part is missing. We have what percent of something is something else. So we have the second type, which is where the percent is missing. And then the third type is where our total is missing. Now in the real world, these questions don't come to you in this format. And in this format is the only format the is and the of mean anything. Most of the problems in the real world actually come in the form of word problems, like these right here. Okay? And you have to be smart enough based on your reading to determine what's our part and what's our total. Okay, so here are 5 questions that you can practice on to figure out what is your part and what is your total. This is the first one. Here is the second one. Here is the third one. Here's a fourth one. And here's the fifth one. So that is using the percent proportion to solve percent problems.